steps. So if I have to travel, if I have to plan my travel, I'll plan. Okay, this will be my hotel, this will be my reservation, this will be my this. I'll go from here to here. I'll go from point B to point C. So what I'm doing is I'm breaking that entire task into a bunch of steps. So those bunch of steps are called algorithms. So that's how computers mimic human intelligence by breaking the whole task into chunk of steps. So once you have the steps, what it does is it analyzes that data and learns from it, and then it's smart enough to make the predictions as well.
So we'll make a slideshow so that it's visible to everyone.
Yeah, sure. So, can I download?
It's a slideshow based.
Slideshow.
View, I guess. Show. No.
You can download.
Yeah. Improve their performance over a period of time. Robotics. Robotics is when you create machines that can perform tasks autonomously. Now, autonomously is an operative word and it depends on the context, but maybe I'll say semi-autonomous. They still would need a human to direct them, otherwise they'll go haywire. But yeah, there is certain degree of automation that's built in. Then the third important element of AI is natural language processing, which essentially means that you process the natural language, the language that we use on a day-to-day basis, and convert that into a language that machines or computers will understand and interpret and respond to. And then computer vision. I think computer vision is just understanding the images and being able to decipher those images, being able to understand the context, being able to understand the story behind those images. So these are the four elements. Again, if you understand, the common thread in all of these four elements is the fact that there is a human intelligence or a cognition involved, which AI or a machine is mimicking. And that's why machine learning and artificial intelligence. So, okay. And then I think there are a couple of advanced technologies, neural networks and deep learning. So why these are important and what's the importance of these? Neural networks are computational models that exactly imitate the human brain. So how does a human brain work? Human brain has these nodes and these peripheral signals. So human brain works on the basis of signals. So if you touch, the touch goes to the human brain. So what is happening is a signal is going via a human node. So what we do in neural networks is we exactly mimic the structure of the human brain. So it has these nodes and it has these nodes. These nodes serve as a hub, and these hubs are the connectors through which all the signals and information goes. So think about if I were to extrapolate this to a ChatGPT kind of a scenario. What ChatGPT is doing is ChatGPT reads through thousands and thousands of trillions and trillion megabytes of data. It converts all of that data into something called vectors, or something called the encodings. Think of vector as a secret code. So if you are a detective, you will have a secret code. So yeah, think of those vectors as a secret code. So it converts all of that information, that millions of terabytes of data, into a secret code that it will use to process all of that information. So, and that's why if you think about the full form of ChatGPT, does anyone know what's the full form of GPT? GPT, does anyone know? Chocolate question. Does anyone know what's the full form of GPT? Generative. P. What does P stands for?
P from transformer.
T is transformer, correct? Yeah. So generative, pre-trained transformer. Yeah, still owe you chocolate. Yeah. So essentially, what this means is that there was a humongous amount of data. On that data was fed to the machine. And what that machine did is, out of that entire data, it encoded that into something called vector. So in mathematics, we have read vectors and scalars. So vectors have a direction, right? Scalar is just a quantity. So they encode all of that data into something called vectors, and that's why the word transformer. So the unstructured data is being transformed into a vector, which has a specific context. Yeah. And why we call it a vector? Because on a graph, if you plot a vector has a specific direction.
Why it is called pre-trained?
Pre-trained because you are feeding that data initially to help the machine learn and understand the context, right? So I'll give you a simple example, and that would sort of, if you keep this in mind, this will help you when you design your applications. So think about this. I can use bank, B-A-N-K word in two different ways. I can use that as river bank. I can use that as financial bank, a financial bank like a State Bank of India or an HDFC. Now, if there was, how does machine understand the context? So if I feed a lot of data that has HDFC, SBI, and all of that written over that data, and I label that data, that wherever you see HDFC, State Bank of India, the label is financial bank, right? So as soon as I do that, computer understands, computer is able to decipher a pattern that anything around HDFC, there is and it will prepare a nod that will say, okay, this context is a financial bank. Now, if I similarly put thousands of terabytes of data, which is all about information on rivers, so Ganges, Brahmaputra, Yamuna, and if I label that as a river bank, right, the computer will understand the context that it's a river bank. So pre-trained means that you're feeding all of that data and you're labeling that data for the computer to understand the context. And that's why we call it generative pre-trained transformer. Transformer piece is important because it's encoding and decoding all of that unstructured information into something which has a structure, with something which has a direction or a vector. Yeah. Okay. So AI implementation. So obviously, like all other fields, AI has emerged as a transformative force in education, and it has multiple applications. And I'll do a case study as well. But just a quick overview. So it revolutionizes learning by providing personalized experiences. So because AI has ability to do cognitive things, for every individual in this room, I can create a personalized, tailor-made, contextual learning path. So if you actually go to sites like Microsoft Learn, they are able to create a specially personalized learning path for you. And I think Ramesh sir was showing that AI knows and understands all of that information, and it can actually understand you much better than even you could. So Microsoft and some of these companies which have their LMS, learning management systems, they are in real time, they are reading your data, they are reading what you're doing, they are reading what you are clicking, they are reading what you are, understanding and what you're typing, and they are able to understand and prepare. If you go back to neural networks, they are able to prepare a map of what your psychology is, what your learning situation is, and basis that they can tailor very personalized experience, right? So for example, if you think about this from the perspective of diversity and inclusion, which is important, so there you will have in your class multiple students with different learning abilities. And that's where the good part of AI, the good use of AI comes into play, that people who are left behind, AI can actually lend them its shoulders and help them reinforce some of these concepts. And I'll show that in a case study how that works. Yeah. So it empowers educators by automating your menial repetitive tasks. So for example, your marking, your examination, your administrative tasks. So all of that can be automated, which means that you spend your time doing what you're passionate about, what you are doing, which is how do I deliver the best pedagogy to my students, right? So if I go to the next one, personalized learning, we've talked about. So AI tools for personalized learning. So these tools are transforming education by tailoring content to meet unique needs of students. So the example that I gave, you will have people with different learning abilities. If I move to the next one real quick, in the interest of time. So how does AI help? Accessibility, because especially in a context in a country like ours, where we have different regions who have different accessibility needs. So for example, there might be some regions who don't have good infrastructure. There might be some regions who don't have good teachers like we have in big cities. So AI can help supplement, and again I have to emphasize, AI will never replace a teacher, but AI can definitely supplement and ensure that we enhance the pedagogy. predictive analytics, if you have a classroom of 60 people, and we'll probably see this in a case study as well, but if you have a classroom of 60 people, you can make some predictions. And again, I think there are some ethical boundaries, but within the ethical boundaries, you can make a prediction that, people from a particular region, as an example, without being judgmental, people from a particular region might not be as sharp or as conversant or as comfortable in English. Some people might not be as comfortable in Hindi. So how do you deliver your pedagogy? So just by sort of feeding data of previous, and I've actually worked with a college who actually feeds data of previous batches to make some real-time predictions on the incoming batch, which means that it can actually help people understand that, okay, if I have a batch of 60 and if there are people coming from a specific region, what would be their specific learning needs? So that's where the predictive side of things comes, which is incredibly powerful as well. Virtual classrooms. So we've talked about, Sir showed the agents, which can actually supplement the education system. So similarly, you can actually have virtual classrooms. So it's basically a device and which provides a very personalized learning management, or which provides a very personalized learning module. Assessment and evaluation.
Many universities have started implementing.
What's the benefit, and what does this mean for all of you as educators, or what does this mean for all of us as educators? So what this means is that you have better engagement since you have personalized content, since you are already doing some predictive analytics, you are understanding your student a lot better, so you will have better engagement. Work efficiency, you are able to automate some of your repetitive manual tasks, which means that you can focus on higher order tasks like your pedagogy design or your delivery and so on and so forth. Enhanced accessibility, so it operates on two fundamental levels. One is accessibility in terms of your cohort or your region. So different regions, in a country like ours, different regions have different accessibility to tools. That's one. But within your class as well, you will have people of different backgrounds, of different, someone might not have a laptop. So how do you actually ensure that people who don't have the tools, or people who are not privileged enough, they have access to information in the ways that will help them advance their careers. So that was that. If I quickly flip over, ethical considerations, I do want to talk about this, and I do want to emphasize this one more time. I'm sure Sir will cover this in detail as well, but if I just think about what are the ethical considerations that we should think about. So data privacy, it's a real big deal. We are probably not realizing, but every second, in the moment, whatever we are doing on internet, each of that leaves a digital footprint. So if you go to Amazon, you shop for something, it leaves a digital footprint. And today algorithms are extremely sharp and smart, and they can connect the dots. So for example, if you ordered a book on quantum computing, and then next, after 2 weeks, you ordered a book, let's say on sociology, AI would be smart enough to understand that you're working on something which is interdisciplinary. And the good thing about AI is that the more data, or maybe the worrying thing about the AI is that more data AI has access to, more sharper it becomes. More sharper are the predictions, more accurate are the predictions. Again, as Sir said, all of this is in the realm of probability, but the more data you feed into AI, the more sharper it becomes. Now, the information or the profile or the persona AI prepares of you because of the fact that it's monitoring and looking at your data on a day-to-day basis can be used for good things, but can also be misused by bad actors. So we have seen scams, we have seen deep fakes, we have seen things like cybercrime. All of that is coming from there are certain bad actors in the system who probably have access to your data and so on and so forth. And that's why we say be very careful on what are the apps that you're downloading from your app store, because every activity that you're doing is being monitored or is being. So think about this. We always worry about, is there someone above us? Is there a higher power above us? Right? So there probably is. Now there was something in Sir's presentation, especially when he talked about China, where bands get colored. Bands get colored because of whether people are paying attention or not. Now that also is something which is which is that gray area of ethical boundaries. How much can you do surveillance on young kids? And and then it's also about in a class of 60, if you have 2 or 3 kids who are showing red in their bands, that also from the perspective of their self-esteem, it probably doesn't do a lot of good. So if you think of this from a perspective of inclusion, there are probably some gray areas that we have to be careful about. Technology challenges? Wind up?
Some.
Yeah, fine. Can I just show a 1 minute case study?
No, 2 minutes, 5 more than that.
Case study.
Five.
We want
5
to see
minutes.
case study.
Yeah, so I'll actually show you a case study and probably that will make more sense. And I'll leave this presentation.
5 minutes,
yeah.
no more.